Recording. We are recording. Great. All right, everyone. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're watching and wherever you are, whatever time it is where you are watching, whatever part of the world you're in. I'm really excited to teach this. This is the first time I've actually taught this wealth energetics in a group setting. Normally, I teach it in a one-to-one setting, um, working with my business clients, helping my healer community to release the blocks. So I'm really excited to bring it all into a group setting and go as deep as we can in a group. So we're diving into the energetics of money, energetics of wealth. And it's not about chasing money and chasing cash and of course, being rich. Of course, we all want to be wealthy and have surplus money in the bank, but it's about transforming the relationship with money so each can experience a constant inflow or a surplus and harmony with money. So I can't promise in this group setting that, of course, we can clear everything in this one masterclass, because some fears, beliefs, blocks, vows that we're going to go into today have a really deep soul or ancestral contracts, and these contracts can date back lifetimes, hundreds of years, in fact. So some may need further work. So if you haven't already got a pen and paper handy, if you've not got a notebook handy, just grab yourself a pen and paper now, because you will need to journal and make notes so that you can retest at the end of this. We go through and test some beliefs and fears, that you'll be able to retest them at the end and see what you have cleared and what you may need to work on a deeper level. So yeah, we can, of course, I can help you go deeper if you need to, if there are any contracts, if there are any really deep trauma wounds that you need to go a little bit deeper with, then of course I can help you with that on a one-to-one. But let's hope we can clear as much as we can in this one session. We are going to be working through the Akashic record, so it is really powerful when we work with the Akashic record, but ultimately it's down to how self-invested you are, of course, to do the inner work and dig deeper if you need to dig deeper with what shows up for you during these 3 days. So firstly, I just want to talk about the energetics of money. It isn't a mystical energy that's floating around the cosmos. It is actually the bloodstream of how our world functions. But ultimately, it's our attitude towards money that basically creates our vibration and our frequency with money. So if there is misalignment, if there's, hustle and desperation behind what we're trying to do to bring ourselves abundance, it can just leave us stuck in more scarcity, more lack, and more worry, as we're all aware. Ultimately, money has its own wisdom, intelligence, and money doesn't magnetize to those who repel it, those who have a disrespect for it, those that don't value it. It is magnetized to those who do respect and value it. So if you do have a disharmonious relationship with money, and you do have this underlying belief that, money is dark, it's evil, wealth is evil, etc., which there may be some underlying belief that you're not aware of, then you will naturally repel money on an unconscious level. But we have been taught a lot about money, and everything that we've been taught is quite backwards. But if you could communicate with money, if money could speak, if it had its own preferences, it would communicate to you on a deeper level. So there is that aspect of you being able to actually commute with money. If money knew exactly why it flows towards some people and why it flows away from others, and if you were able to communicate with it and ask it as an entity, because it is an energetic entity, then you may be able to have a much deeper and coherent relationship with it in regard of communicating why it's why you may be leaking, why you can't hold it. And this might sound strange at first, but it is consciousness. Money is aware of our energy towards it, as is everything. So, the ancient cultures understood that everything carries a consciousness. Everything has an Akashic record, including money, including wealth. And, it's not just paper and metal and numbers on a screen. It is actually, a living, vibrating entity. So we're going to hopefully open that channel of communication to allow money to speak with you, to communicate with you, and ultimately download a direct source, a direct connection to money so that you can change your relationship with money. So how does that sound so far? Anybody resonating so far? Give me a thumbs up or a heart or whatever it is that you want to give me. Hopefully that makes sense to most of you. So just in brief, I grew up in an environment where money was scarce. My parents came from, they were children of the Second World War. They were survivors of famine and shortages, as I'm sure most of you on here who are around my age will resonate with this. So this, the fear about money and money distortion was wired into me at a really young age. And I left school without an education, apart from, my up to the age of 16. But I decided to leave school because I didn't want to rely on a system. I didn't want to rely on my parents because my parents didn't have money. So I got a job when I was almost just 16 and a half. I got a job, my very first job. And that was my first kind of awakening to the system and to the distortions in the system. And that was the start of me living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck in the grind, and watching every penny and stressing and not having any money at the end of every month and just living to pay bills. So when I stepped out of that system and stepped into the healing path, I made it my mission to work through my poverty issues, my money issues, and heal all of the stuff that I'd inherited, the wounding I'd inherited through my childhood. But it was only when I started working with the Akashic Record that I got access to these deepest parts that were really buried deep in the psyche, hidden wounds and beliefs and traumas and things that I'd experienced in other lifetimes, and the depth of inheritance that I had absorbed as a child, not just from my bloodline, but also from the collective. But the Akashic Record allowed me to uncover all these contracts, these vows, this shame. And so I made it my mission to work on these poverty issues. I remember when I first started as a healer, I had all these projections about money shame. You shouldn't be charging if you're a healer, you're not truly spiritual, all this other like distortional beliefs and false narratives that people come at us with. But I took all that on, I internalized it, and it really blocked me and kept me stuck in feeling deep shame about charging people for my services. So it was only when I healed all of this and I went really deep into it and had a different relationship with money that it shifted my own consciousness around money. But I also realized, going into my Akashic Record and peeling back all of the layers, that the blocks that we have to money are not always from growing up poor or from taking poverty vows. It's kind of like a double helix of misalignment. So we can have poverty on one side of the coin, where we grow up in scarcity and we're stuck in survival mode, or we've watched our loved ones being stuck in these programs, and we undervalue money because we can see it as something we have to fight for. And so we cling to it or we push it away subconsciously because of our distortions and our fears. But on the flip side of that, people who grow up in wealth, it can also create distortions because these children can grow up with this entitlement and expectation and a lack of respect for money and treating it as a privilege. And this can lead to people feeling empty inside not really knowing the joys of money because it's just a commodity that's always been there. Interestingly, we're seeing this playing out with this Beckham saga that's all over Facebook and social media at the moment, with Brooklyn Beckham growing up in wealth, but having mental health issues as a result of how his parents have treated their wealth and turned their family into a brand. So it's not just poverty wounds, that it's wealth trauma on a different level. So these distortions can stem from other lifetimes where we may have been wealthy aristocrats. We may have had our wealth stolen or lost in wars or genocides. We may have experienced betrayal. This is something that comes up quite a lot in my Akashic readings, that people losing their wealth in wars or genocides or betrayals, or having their wealth stolen. So we can carry this, we're holding this, as you all know, we're holding this in our blueprint, and this can result in our perceptions and misguided perceptions and misguided beliefs. So it's not just what we're inheriting in our childhood from our bloodlines, but what we have carried over from other lifetimes into this lifetime through our own inheritance, and beliefs that we've also carried over, or the energy of the beliefs that we had in other lifetimes, where we may have been persecuted by wealthy people. We may have been persecuted for being wealthy, but ultimately, this can affect us on psychological levels. So it's if the vibration is off, then we can repel money if we treat it as a selfish commodity, or we have toxic energy towards it, and we are misusing it in any way. We're not using it in healthy ways, we're not always using it for good, then of course we can create more symptomatic blocks around money. But ultimately, the turning point for me was the day that I began to value money and see it. I just changed and rewired my belief about it and stopped seeing it as a commodity and treating it as an ally, as a friend, as an integrated part of my spiritual work. So money became one of my 5 core values. And my 5 core values are independence, freedom, sovereignty, truth, and money is my 5th core value. But money enables me to live in the energy of the other 4 values. It allows me to stand in my power, to speak my truth without having to suck up and people please, without having to wait for handouts, without having to ask people for money. It allowed me to have a surplus of savings in my bank account instead of living hand to mouth. So I really recommend, if you haven't been clear with your values as yet, then I recommend that you have at least 3 core values and make these values work for you and integrate money as a value, because money can allow you to work on a more conscious level with your values, because it is a two-way relationship. So asking yourself, how healthy is your relationship with money, and sit with that energy and ask yourself and understand that wealth is not just about being rich and having surplus amounts of money. It's wealthy in love, wealthy in joy, wealthy in health, wealthy in our relationships. It's everything. So it's not just about money. And if we're not wealthy in those other areas, then how can we be wealthy in money as well? So yeah, it's a deep, multi-layered, multifaceted entity. So we're not here to work and be slaves to money. We're here to thrive with it, and we're here. Money is an energy. It's a neutral energy. So it's not about the value of money as we grow it, but it's about using it and integrating it as an energy to help us to grow our multifaceted wealth. So this is what this program's all about, rewriting this script. So who's kind of resonating with that so far? Give us a thumbs up or a drop us a heart or so today we're going to get wealth traumas. Bring up my little presentation. So I created this super simple presentation that I will share with you all after. I will send it out in an email so you've got a little kind of structure to work with, but this is kind of just basically briefly what I'm talking about. So again, the double helix of wealth, just not just about poverty wounding, poverty trauma, but also, you know, our wounding from let me just move that over there. Our wounding from, you know, from being healthy as well. So basically, I've mentioned already, wealth trauma shows up a lot in my Akashic readings, and because I'm working mainly with healers, and helping healers to shift. Are you still seeing the presentation on the screen? Yeah, okay. So yeah, helping people to get out of scarcity through one-to-one programs, through business mentoring, and also on the Akashic trainings where we go deep into these kind of things. But the common sources of wealth trauma that I find is, as I've said already, people being wealthy in other lifetimes and then losing it through wars, misusing wealth or power, you know, having money and losing it, misusing wealth or power through corruption or greed in other lifetimes. You know, we've not been healers in other lifetimes. We've been victims, we've been persecutors. You know, we've been all of it. We've experienced all of these varying polarities in our previous lifetimes. We've experienced wealth in other lifetimes. We've experienced riches. We've also experienced extreme poverty, potentially starvation or death due to having a lack of money. And of course, I believe that people who are doing this level of work have also, you know, we have chosen our lineage, our ancestral lineage on some level, on a soul level, because they're here to help us to work. You know, we've chosen to work through our pains and traumas around wealth and all the other traumas that we've experienced in other lifetimes. But also, we've chosen to heal this through our bloodline. We've chosen to heal thousands of people. You know, when you look at our bloodline lineages, you know, we're potentially healing thousands of people. So, you know, it's not just, you know, trauma's not just psychology. It is, you know, it is energetic, and it can cause energy reversals. It can cause us to have energy leakages, especially in the sacral, the crown, and the throat, where we express ourselves. So, you know, what wealth trauma can cause is unexplained resistances to being wealthy, to having X amount of money, repeating cycles of feast and fast famine, feeling unworthy feeling unworthy of financial comfort, and attracting clients or situations that reinforce your lack. So has anybody experienced this? As I know I did in the beginning, I was experiencing a lot of, you know, through my own wealth trauma, I was experiencing a lot of my clients that were also in poverty, you know, people that couldn't pay me, like way back when I was charging £35 for a healing that I should have been, I mean, I'm going back 15, 16, 17 years when I should have been charging £40, £50 at that time, the going rate for a Reiki session, for example. But I was charging between 25 and 35 because of all this shaming and this discomfort that I felt around money and spirituality, this disconnection that I had created, or I had perpetuated it because I'd allowed other people to project their distortions onto me, and I'd taken that on as my own. I've taken these distortions on myself. So, as I said, it was only when I went in to clear these that that I realized what I was doing, that I realized that, I'd allowed this to happen. I'd allowed it. And so now I don't allow it. When anybody, and I still get the occasional person might show up on my page, on my Facebook page, on my Instagram and tell me, you're not spiritual, you're charging for, you're charging this 1,000 something pounds for your Akashic training, or like 300, 400 pounds for your Akashic readings. You're not spiritual, you're greedy. And before I would be like, oh my God, I would allow it to traumatize me and I would get really upset by it. Now I just don't engage with it, because why should we not receive? If I was just doing a 1 hour session and people were just coming to me and lying down and having a Reiki, then yeah, of course I'm not going to charge 300, 400 pounds, but I'm charging for the transformation. So this is one thing. If one thing that you can take with you from this masterclass today is stop selling your modality and sell the transformation. What transformation you were gifting your community. Sell that, not the modality. Okay, how many Reiki healers are out there? There's hundreds of thousands of Reiki healers out there, and you're probably just lost in the noise of all the other Reiki healers who are just trying to, they're literally trying to help everybody. So narrow your niche down of who you want to work with and sell the transformation that you can offer them. What are their problems? What are their pain points? And work with that, because that's what's going to start helping you to feel more confident with money and charging more for your money. And so, repackage, don't call it Reiki healing, call it transformational XYZ, whatever it is that you're going to help with. I help women who are anxious to heal their anxiety, or to step out of anxiety and into peace, or whatever. This is just an example. But focus on that and stop getting lost in the noise of all the other healers out there. And that's going to start shifting you. So yeah, sell the transformation, not the modality. So there's 4 levels of where we can hold our beliefs and fears. So the core level, which is basically what we've inherited from our childhood, what we've adopted, learned behaviors, what we taught in school, these fears and beliefs that have become part of our own personality, our own identity, our ego, and ultimately that we're holding these in the frontal lobe part of the brain, in the subconscious. Then with what we have inherited on an ancestral level, which is genetic and cellular, things that have programs that have been imprinted into our energetic DNA, that are literally already imprinted into our DNA in the womb, as early as the womb. So this is the cellular level, DNA level. And then, of course, what we pick up on a subconscious level, what's imprinted into our subconscious, through learned behaviors, learned behaviors and beliefs from our bloodlines. Then there's the collective level, what we pick up that is projected into the collective consciousness, what we're programmed by in school, by teachers and systems, inherited, adopted beliefs, memories and beliefs that we hear from our siblings in school, our friends in school, etc., etc. And then, of course, what we're holding in our soul level, what's been energetically carried over from other lifetimes, what we're holding already in our blueprint from our past lifetimes, and also what is imprinted into our energetic blueprint. So obviously we're talking an energetic blueprint from 4D, 5D, 6D, 4th dimensional, 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional in the astral body. What is held at that level, and through all the different layers of the astral body, what we're holding on an energetic level. So ultimately, healing wealth trauma, we are looking at identifying these beliefs, and we're looking at clearing these programs and then replacing these programs with more positive programs to create new neural pathways that are more coherent and more aligned to our, to the version of ourselves that we're trying to create. So ultimately, when we start clearing all of these fears and beliefs, that we can create a new identity that allows us to have more wealth. So I've mentioned already, these are, sources of wealth trauma, sudden loss, misuse of power, poverty vows, and extreme scarcity. So what we're going to do today is do some muscle testing, working with the body sway technique. And then we'll start testing some of our beliefs so we can see like what is showing up for us, or what is showing up for you. And ultimately, what you can release in this class, and what you can, the new beliefs and programs that you can download that are going to help you to recreate this new identity. And this, when we start shifting the fears and beliefs, we did this last weekend in the Akashic. I just finished the final part of the last Akashic training program, and we were doing ancestral healing. And we went really deep into what we have inherited on an ancestral level, as I've talked about already, and clearing all of these. And there were some huge breakthroughs with this system. So if you can follow this system, if you work with this system, it's a really simple methodology, but ultimately, if you can work with it, it will help you. Because it is a pretty simple process, and some of you may be familiar with it already. We did this in theta healing. We've done it in different various. I did it with the Joe Vitale belief practitioner training. But what I found is doing it through the Akashic record has a completely different level of clearing. It's like, for me personally, deleting and clearing the beliefs in the Akashic record, they're permanently deleted. And then it's ultimately just being conscious. If that default pattern that's associated with a particular belief keeps showing up, that you take that pause, you feel yourself, you're aware, this default narrative that I'm telling myself is coming up again. And you take a pause and you just make a different statement. You just make a different choice. So if you do follow this methodology, and if you do the deeper work, then you can experience positive outcomes by implementing this methodology. And so this is what I'm teaching you today, this simple roadmap. And I've had many clients, many of my Akashic students are here on this live. Some of them will be watching on the replay. And all of them have had breakthroughs. All of them have had different levels of manifestation. And of course, we're still working through these different levels of manifestation. So, I could share multiple social proofs. So if you're here and you're one of my Akashic students, give us a shout. Yeah. Exactly. And so, these are social proofs that, that this works. I've been teaching this body of work for almost 6 years now, and I wouldn't still be teaching it if it didn't work. But as I said, ultimately, it comes down to what each of you are also, ready for. And that's what it's all about. So we're going to use our muscle test. Some of you may be familiar with, are you still seeing the screen? Are you seeing the muscle testing screen now? Okay. Who's familiar with the body sway technique? Just drop me a thumbs up. So let me see. Okay. Sorry, who was, just give me a thumbs up again if you're familiar with the muscle body sway technique. Okay, great. So there may be people watching on the replay who are not. So I'm just going to go into the energy of the muscle testing, just to kind of explain to people how it works. Because it's working on an energetic level. We're working by making positive statements. We're saying simple statements out loud that will give our body a yes or no. So the body has its own intelligence. And what we're doing is you'll rock forward for yes and backward for no. That's kind of how it works, because we're working with the two poles, the electromagnetic poles within the body. And the electrical current or pole is north facing, and that's the positive male current. And the magnetic current is the negative female current, and that will be the no response. So it's not necessarily that the female's negative, but it's just the positive and negative current that we're working with. So positive is a yes and the negative is a no. So that's basically how it works. So the body's a super intelligent diagnostic tool, and we can feel when things are not right. We know intrinsically and inherently when something doesn't feel right, because our body tells us it's not right. Quite often we get a contraction. So this is basically how it's working. If you could just sit there and you could ask questions, and if you're really in tune with your body, you will feel a contraction. So for those of you who are working at that level, great. But for those of you who are not, then I recommend use the body sway technique, because the body doesn't lie. There are other ways of muscle testing, with pendulum, and obviously, there's the finger testing, and then there's there's various kinesiology and muscle testing techniques. But I find personally that the body sway is more accurate, especially when I'm working with beginner level clients. So most of you here who are watching live or on the replay are not beginner. You're all advanced, established, experienced healers. But as I said, there may be some that are not. So it's really important to connect with the subconscious. So we're not working from the conscious thinking mind, where we can manipulate the answers. Because ultimately the subconscious and the unconscious mind is where we're holding all of the wounding, all of the shadows, and the positive stuff as well. It's the subconscious doesn't just hold the negative stuff, it holds all the positive things as well. But we're not looking at positive patterns and programs, we're looking at the negative things that are blocking us. So we need to bring the thinking mind into a theta brainwave, so where we are not connected to the thinking mind, because the theta brainwave is the level where we heal and reprogram these default patterns. So this is the first and foremost important to work to do this, to bring ourselves into this space. So the first thing is to just center. So if you just close your eyes for a moment, I recommend perhaps, and again, even if you're familiar with working at this level, just go along with it, because as I said, it might take you to a whole different state of being, and you might pick up things. And so just center and ground, sitting forward on your chair, your feet are on the ground. And just start with a few rounds of deep breathing. So we're not muscle testing yet, we're just bringing ourselves into the space. So you can sit down, you can go ahead and sit down for a while, but just center and ground, inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 6 or 8, holding for 4, and then repeat that cycle. So a nice bit of Zen counting to eliminate that chitter chatter of the monkey mind. So a few rounds of deep breathing. Bring yourself into that nice, coherent state. And then begin breathing into your heart, connecting to your higher heart in the center of the chest. And imagine there's a crystalline light at your heart center. And tune in to that crystalline light. And imagine from that crystalline light at your heart center, as you inhale and exhale, that light begins to expand across your chest. So as you inhale, it expands. And as you exhale, pulsing it out in front of you until this crystalline light is surrounding you. And you've created a coherent bubble. You've activated your heart torus, connected to your own God bubble, your soul bubble. And imagine from the heart a cord of crystalline light moving up through the center of the chest, up through your throat, and into the brain. So you're making that connection between the heart and the brain. And feel that light sparking in the center of your brain, activating the subconscious, the unconscious. And then let's just tap the thymus. So just tapping the thymus gland. The thymus is our central connector point, and it helps to connect and bring coherence between the heart and the mind. So as you're breathing, just tapping or rubbing here gently, because it helps to bring harmony into the endocrine system. It helps to bring balance into the nervous system, creating a coherence in the nervous system. Sometimes our energy can get scrambled. And then just tapping the top of the head. So this is the 1,000 meeting point of the meridian system. So tap or rub. Again, when our energy gets scrambled, we can lose our sense of center and grounding. And the crown is where we have it's our empowerment center, our sovereign center. So we're just having a little activation of the crown. Massaging here helps to connect the upper, lower, frontal and back meridians and stimulate the cell receptors and the neural pathways in the brain. All right. So just relax your hands, come back to the breath. And then we're just going to repeat a higher self invocation. So just repeating after me. You can repeat out loud if you're alone, or repeat silently in your mind if there's other people around you. This is a higher self invocation. So I state your name, speaking to all levels of my consciousnesses. Command in the name of divine truth, divine love, and divine light. Allow all information to come from my higher self and be in alignment with my divine truth for my greatest good and for my highest path and purpose. I now create a clear channel of communication and manifestation between my subconscious, my unconscious, my conscious, and my superconscious minds. That they are 100% connected and working in perfect alignment, in unity and harmony, working toward my highest path and purpose. And so it is done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I invite you to stand up. So let's just check in with our body pendulum. For those of you who are familiar, for those of you who are not, if you can stand and try to face north, so north toward the North Pole area, if you can, if you're familiar with that. Again, don't worry about it too much if you're not sure. Just set the intention that your body is connecting to the north current, the northern current. So when you're facing north, your back is facing south. And then just making a command of yes, 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 And your body should start rocking forward. Yes. You should get a forward movement. So just relax yourself. You're not standing rigid. You're not standing in a really staunch mountain pose. You're just nice and relaxed. Your gaze is forward. Your eyes are open. Shoulders are back. Chest is open. Your knees are soft. Ankles are soft. And then just say yes and let yourself rock forward. If you find that you're not rocking forward and you're moving round in circles, then it could be that you've got an energetic reversal. So just do the timer's tap again. Just rub a little bit on your timer's or tap the top of the head. And then repeating no, and your body should start to move backwards. You should get a backward movement. So once you've established your yes and no, then make a truth statement. For example, my name is Mia. And you should get a yes, a positive statement, and rock forward. I live in Thailand. And once you've affirmed your positive, your truth, then make a negative statement, something you know is false, and you should get the opposite. So my name is Julia. I live in Scotland. So then once you've established your yes and no, has everybody got a positive statement and the negative statement? Great. Okay. So now we can go ahead and test some beliefs. But first of all, I want to connect to your Akashic record. So before we do, we want everything to come through the Akashic record. So repeating after me in your mind or out loud, I now connect to my higher self, my super consciousness, my creator intelligence, to access my Akashic library so that I may acknowledge my past and any choices I have made and perpetuated, consciously or unconsciously, that have created blocks and restrictions that limit my progress and positive self-expression. Creator higher self, please highlight in my consciousness the choices that I have made that are incongruent to my soul path and purpose, so that I may realign them to the reality that I wish to create for myself. Higher self team, assist me today to identify the blocks, beliefs, fears, and imprints that I am holding in my bodies and fields that block my potential. Show me what it is that I need to know right now in this moment so that I may move forward and liberate myself from constraints and sabotages. Now repeating these statements out loud. So stay standing. And the first statement is, I have an energy reversal around money. Make sure you've got your pen and paper handy so that you can write down your responses, because then you can test these responses at the end. I have an energy reversal around money. If you get a yes, write that down. So the statements are on the screen. So if anybody wants to work through them a little bit quicker, you can go ahead. But if you want to stay, I will read them out to you. The next statement is, I block my own financial abundance. Again, if you get a yes, write it down. If you get a no, great. Then why are you here? But it may be that you don't just have poverty vows or poverty issues, but your income's capped at a certain level and you want to grow that income. That is where I'm at right now. I haven't got these vows anymore, but I've got this, my income's capped at a certain level. And my goal this next 12 months is to grow my income to have 5-figure months. It's a big want, but yeah, that's what I'm going for. Next statement, I have a poverty vow. I have a poverty vow. If you get a yes, I have a poverty vow. If you get a yes, write that down. Next statement, I don't deserve to be wealthy. I don't deserve to be wealthy. The next statement, I'm not good enough. So you can either say, I'm not good enough to be wealthy, or I'm not worthy of being wealthy. Sometimes it can be a little bit about the wording. So I'm not good enough to be wealthy. We'll start with that one. I'm not good enough to be wealthy. So again, this could be coming from your own insecurities about your worth as a healer or a facilitator. I'm not good enough to be wealthy. And then you can just change that a little bit, like I'm not worthy of being wealthy. So it's similar to I don't deserve to be wealthy, but deservingness and worthiness are actually two different energies. Again, write down your positives. Next statement. Again, they're on the screen, so if you get stuck, everything's on the screen. It's too big. Next statement, if I'm wealthy, I'm a target. So this could be coming from fear of judgment, persecution. If I'm wealthy, I'm a target. So you keep yourself in limitation so you can hide. So a lot of these have other, a lot of our core beliefs have symptomatic beliefs as well. So if I'm wealthy, I'm a target could lead you to hiding yourself, not being seen. Next statement, money isn't spiritual. This is really common. The next statement, I will never make good money doing what I love, or I will never make good money as a healer, or I will never make good money doing what I love. So again, choose your language. Money isn't spiritual. I will never make good money as a healer. And then moving on to wealth fears. So now we're testing fears. I have a fear of losing everything. So again, this could be coming from past life trauma, where you may have lost everything, or you may have seen your family in this lifetime lose things. I have a fear of losing everything. Again, if that's a positive, write it down. Next statement, I have a fear of success. So again, this kind of comes together with the fear of losing everything. Sometimes we can have this fear of success, of being wealthy, for losing it, but we could also have a fear of success because we have a fear of being seen. And this might also, these beliefs may also trigger other things, and you might be receiving downloads at the same time. So anything that comes to your mind that I'm not sharing, just write that down. And the next statement, I have a fear that success will separate me from my community or my family. Or you could also say, I have a fear that success will isolate me. So again, whichever language resonates with you. I have a fear that success will separate me from my community. Again, there's a lot of negativity out there. From other healers are projecting a lot of this shaming onto other healers at the moment. And the next statement, which is a very common spiritual fear, I have a fear of being corrupted by wealth. Have a fear of being corrupted by wealth. Again, maybe in another lifetime, you sold your soul to the devil, as it says, as it goes. And so in this lifetime, you're here to heal all of this. And so this could be showing up in this lifetime. And the last two, I have a fear of not being able to handle my wealth responsibly. I have a fear of not being able to handle my wealth responsibly. Again, this can also tie in with losing things and also money leakages, not being able to hold your wealth. So you may have a good income, but you're just leaking money. I had a client recently was having issues with this, and it went into a previous lifetime. And finally, I have a fear of being judged for being wealthy. So when you have worked through these, let me know and come and sit back down. And maybe if you pop your video back on so I can see you. Okay, I'm just reading your messages. More beliefs than fears. Yeah. Worked on the till, served thousands of customers, many reactions to debt and wealth. Yeah. My mum's bloodline had poverty consciousness and father was betrayal. I'm clearing those. Okay. Worked in a bank for 15 years. I have 7 core values and it's extremely good to be grounded in the reasons you do what you do. Beautiful. Great. All right. So how many did you all get some fears and beliefs there? Just give me a thumbs up. If you want to share anything on in the chat, please go ahead and share in the chat. Actually, if you do share in the chat, then we can perhaps list some of these if you want to. We can list some of these as we do the clearing. But yeah, any kind of insights that showed up for you while you were testing there? Any major insights, any wisdom, any downloads? It's pretty serious work, this, isn't it? Everybody's got really serious faces. Okay, let's have a look at the charts. Okay. Not poverty belief. Yeah, my own father owns a business. Women didn't earn money, they stayed home. Okay. I had some inconsistent answers, some yes, no responses. Okay. My father owned a business. Yeah. One time I did not swear, but felt an extreme weight on my shoulders pushing me down. Not poverty beliefs, but wealth fears. Yeah, more beliefs than fears. Also got several where I did not sway at all. Okay. So where you didn't sway, if you've made a note of them, maybe there may be an energetic reversal, or it could be that it's a neutral. It might be like sometimes when we don't move, it can be a neutral response. So again, if you're unsure and questioning yourself, just test yes. My name is Mia, and see if you rock forward for a yes, and then a negative. So just test that again, and then ask that belief again, because there could be some like denial or blocked truth or something in there around that particular belief or block. So you could also ask, is there a block to truth or any denial around this XYZ belief? And then you can make obviously the statement of the belief, and you might find that there may be a block to truth or some denial in there on some level, if that makes sense. All right. Anybody else got any questions or anything they want to ask before we move on to the clearing? Just type in the chat if you've got a question or something you want to share. Of earning it, then losing it, and my husband stole everything, so I am worthy of wealth and still not. Okay. I got to know I'm not worthy of wealth, and also changed it to I am worthy of wealth and still. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's just the wording. And that's the other thing for those of you who've got a neutral, it could be that you might just need to reword it a little bit to speak your own language. But it's equally important that you're making the statements. Okay. Blocking abundance, one fear of being corrupted. Jealousy from others, yeah, absolutely. Ancestral link showed up. I had some yeah. My money leak is to do with stress and trauma from the last 5 years. Okay, yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so let's go in and clear these now. So we're going to work with the master clearing decree. And then we will test these again and see if everything has been cleared. So closing your eyes and bringing your beliefs and fears into this intention. And then making a clear intention that you are now ready on all levels of your consciousness, and you're speaking to your unconscious and your subconscious mind. And you're now ready to release these fears, beliefs, blocks, imprints, vows, programs, whatever it is that showed up. You're ready to release these on a subconscious level and on an unconscious level. And then repeating after me out loud if you can, because it gives more impact. Creator, higher self. I now revoke, cancel, clear and delete all negative and unserving vows, fears, blocks, beliefs, and associated energetic imprint reversals around X, Y, Z belief. So insert your beliefs and fears. Or you can also say all of these fears and beliefs. So I now revoke, cancel, clear and delete all negative and unserving vows, fears, blocks, beliefs, and associated energetic imprint reversals that are held at any level. That means core, ancestral, cellular, collective, and soul. Within my subconscious and energetic blueprint, including all that I have inherited from my bloodlines and the collective consciousness. And all associated with negative conditioning and programming that is impacting my current reality. Higher self, clear all contracts associated with these fears, beliefs, vows, and blocks, releasing all across all levels of my consciousnesses, across all planes, dimensions, and aspects of my being, across all timelines and lifetimes for all of time. Higher self teams, restore all energetic reversals around any of the aforementioned blocks and beliefs, while retaining all memories and learning experiences. Close and seal any negative portals open to any related life-blocking stories for all of time. Higher self, creator intelligence, reconfigure my bioenergetic blueprint to its original optimum divine wholeness, releasing all outdated karmic imprints and restoring my cellular and soul matrices to the harmonic resonance of divine truth, divine love, and divine order. I request assistance to download, repattern, and reprogram new, more positive beliefs and perceptions that positively influence my progress, activating my full potential, creativity, and soul expansion. Higher self, creator consciousness, upgrade my mind, body, and soul. Raising my frequency to a higher divine timeline in alignment with my highest path and purpose that creates greater possibilities and probabilities to live a more joyful and abundant life, so that I may embody my wisdom and be a shining beacon of light to others who are experiencing instability. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just take a moment to drop that declaration, that command into your heart. And imagine that command as a highest frequency. Imagine it as a color frequency, filling the whole of your body. And send that color frequency into any areas of tension or contraction in your body. And feel that frequency shifting the energy into a lighter, brighter, and higher frequency. And I invite you to thank your beliefs. Acknowledge and thank them, because they once served you. These fears and beliefs once served you. They kept you safe until they didn't. until they became outdated. And then I invite you to stand up and retest. Make these same statements again. Or even just test one or two, because when we finish the session, you could also retest, but just take a couple that are the biggest fears or beliefs that you have. And just make those statements again and see if they have been cleared. And if they've been cleared, you can tick it off. Cross, gone, done, deleted. If it hasn't been cleared, just make a tick at the side of it or a circle or a star at the side of it, somewhere where you need to work on a deeper level. And once you've finished, just sit back down and just pop your new findings in the chat. Let me know if you've cleared everything or if there's still something. So I'd love to hear what you've cleared. If you've cleared everything, amazing. So let me know in the chat, please. I would love to hear. All cleared, amazing. All cleared, all cleared. Yay! I love that. Amazing, Amanda. Amazing, Debbie. It is amazing. It never ceases to amaze me. This work absolutely never ceases to amaze me. So Debbie, Amanda, cleared. Anybody else? Again, please don't worry if you've got quite a lot and not all has been cleared. For sure that some will have been cleared and not everything. Kathy, all clear. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All done. Not done all, but yes, some cleared. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you've got a lot, there's also not all sort of one needs a bit more work. Yeah, absolutely normal. So again, for the ones that need a little bit more work, just ask, as it says here in the bottom, when I send you all of this, when I send out the replay to your emails, just ask, is this belief or fear or vow or whatever it is still serving me on some level? And then you'll likely get a yes. And then you can ask, how is it still serving me? Then you can ask your higher self to show you, go into your Akashic record, ask, how is it still serving me? And it could be that it's a deeply ingrained coping or protection mechanism. So you can ask that, is it still keeping me? Is this keeping me safe? Is this protecting me? Is it a protective mechanism? Is this positive? Because not all protection mechanisms are serving you on a positive level. So again, you can just dig deeper by making these statements and commands. Anybody else? The ones I remember are cleared, going to do the rest of the testing once the questions are shared. Yeah. Yeah, some people might have a lot. Great. The ones I remembered are cleared. Okay. So you didn't write them down, Gabby. Don't worry, you can test again. All right. So great. I need to do and reaffirm. Okay, great. So anybody else? Irina, how did you get on? Are you still testing? Good. So some cleared, some not? Okay, perfect. All right. So what I invite you to do now is just spend a few minutes, just drop into your heart again, closing your eyes. For those of you who have cleared everything, well, for all of you actually, because this might help you to shift the consciousness of the stubborn fears and beliefs. But just take a moment to visualize your future self. So see yourself give yourself a realistic timeline. First, if you haven't already, set a goal of what you want to manifest over the next 12 months when it comes to wealth. I've told you already, my goal is to shift to 5-figure months, consistent 5-figure months. And it might sound like a big ask, but ultimately we go big or go home. That's my belief. Go big or go home. And shifting your identity around your wealth blocks. So be as big, dream as big, and go as big as you need to. But visualize your future self in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. A realistic time frame. Because you might already I'm recreating how I work. So some of you might be on the same path. So give yourself time so that you're not putting stress and burdening yourself. But see this future self free from all this financial limitation. And just see yourself living your best life. Free and not worrying about anything. So see that. Where are you? Where are you living? Are you living in the same place? Have you moved? Are you now living your dream life? Are you living in your dream house? Who are you with? And what is around you? And start to feel that, because ultimately we need to embody that feeling. How does that make you feel? You're living your best life, the best version of yourself, abundant, happy, joyful, free from worry. How does that feel? And if that feeling had a color frequency, what color would that color frequency be? So this is not questions for me, these are questions for you. What color frequency would that be? The brightest, most vibrant color. And the lighter and more luminous the color, the higher frequency. And if that feeling, if your wealth feeling had a symbol, what would that symbol be? Could be a really, really simple symbol. And this symbol it merges with your color frequency. And that symbol, that color frequency, represents your new wealth code. Bring that codex into your heart and seal it with a crystal lotus flower so that you plant a seed. And as you plant that seed through the lotus, you can allow it to be cultivated through the loving embrace of your heart, of your pure heart, pure love. So tap into the vibration of gratitude and love and allow that symbol to be sealed so it may seed and grow. So we all know that the lotus flower grows through muddy waters. So any hurt or pain in the heart, just send all of that into the lotus flower. And you may begin to feel your nervous system decompressing. as this new seed takes root in your astral body, in your soul. And repeat, I make my own choices in alignment with my highest divine truth. I am sovereign and free. I am a powerful creator and manifester. I now choose to step onto a higher frequency timeline of greater possibilities. All choices I make from here on in are aligned with this new frequency and my highest path and purpose. And so it is done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You see that lotus flower opening, all the petals in the heart opening. Placing your hands on your heart and giving yourselves a really big hug and love and gratitude for showing up for yourself, for showing up for your community, for investing in yourself. And finish with a Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. All right, everyone. How are you all feeling? I'd love to hear some final chat comments. Let me know how you're feeling. What did you visualize? Did you see yourself? Okay, I need to put my glasses on again. I cannot see a thing without my glasses. So getting more neutrals so that I think the release started as soon as I released the belief was there. Absolutely. This is the whole thing. It's once we acknowledge these beliefs and fears, we're just creating that, we're opening that vacuum for clearing to just start taking place. Without knowledge and awareness, and this is what I love so much about working in the Akashic Record, especially when I do readings for my community, that with that knowledge, it already just starts shifting organically. And it's really, really powerful. So this thank you, elated. Thank you. Most importantly, was being worthy of the future me. Absolutely. And a great thank you. Saw myself in Monaco. Oh wow. Okay. Vibrating a lot. So lots of sunshine. Maybe coming to the island. Yeah, love to see you here, Irina. Amazing. Thank you, everyone. So yes, see how you get on over the next 24 hours. For sure, there'll be some more releasing. And then tomorrow we're going to go into money shaming. Iridescent Raver want to work from Spain online. Yes, beautiful. Thank you for your time and energy. You're welcome. Yes, tomorrow we're going to go into money shaming. So we'll see what shows up tomorrow and go a little bit deeper. So yeah, look forward to hope you can all join the live and yeah, look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a beautiful rest of your day and yeah, take care. Lots of love. Thanks everyone. I invested in learning to share, so you took my narrative share. I can't tomorrow, but we'll do the replay, no problem. Relax, experiencing so much release. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm pleased that you all, but most of you are having some release. That's amazing. This is why I'm here, why I love support. All right, guys, see you tomorrow.